For example, I've seen you on TV a lot in the last couple of years. I know everything you know, or that you tell us, about the Russian situation. I don't have a clue what you think about healthcare. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're for Medicare for all or improve Obamacare or... You want to know why I have a bug up my ass about the left more than I used to? It's shit like this. There's an ugliness they never used to have. The liberals I grew up respecting, none of them are like this. So, I sometimes watch the other channels to see what they're saying because we do live in two different universes. And when I see MSNBC or CNN, it's a lot about what you're saying. On Fox News, the talking point is always, let's just wrap this up because after all this time, there's no there. What do you say to the no there people? Is there a there?
The conflict between Bill Maher and Adam Schiff heated up when Maher challenged the extreme ideas that have taken over the left in recent years. What followed was a fierce and honest argument between two well-known liberals who suddenly realized they no longer see eye to eye. Maher was direct and unfiltered, and Schiff wasn't prepared for the intensity. This wasn't just a simple disagreement, it felt more like a tough political showdown, full of sharp remarks and strong opinions. If you enjoy bold, straightforward debates that question popular ideas, be sure to like and subscribe. You won't want to miss what comes next.
Let's stop talking about Trump. We talk about him too much. We want to tell people what we're going to do for them. Healthcare, environment, those kind of issues. For example, I've seen you on TV a lot in the last couple of years. I know everything you know, or that you tell us, about the Russian situation. I don't have a clue what you think about healthcare. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're for Medicare for all, or improve Obamacare, or get a chicken. I don't know what.
What started as a friendly chat between two well-known left-leaning figures quickly turned into a heated moment when Bill Maher surprised everyone by going off script. Adam Schiff probably thought it would be an easy talk, where Maher would ask soft questions about Trump. Schiff was ready to give his usual speech about democracy being in trouble, but Maher did something different. He told Schiff to forget about Trump and asked what message the Democrats really want to share with the country. Suddenly, Schiff got nervous and stumbled, like someone unprepared. When he finally spoke, his answer surprised the audience.
Here's what I was telling my colleagues, and particularly these wonderful candidates we had running in the midterms. Don't talk about Russia. You're not going to persuade people to vote Democrat or Republican based on Russia.
But what about Trump?
Let's stop for a second. The question was about the Democrats' message, but Schiff started talking about Russia, even though no one mentioned it. That's strange. This is the same guy who spent years focused on Trump's Russia ties, claiming he had proof. Now, when asked a simple question, he avoids Russia completely. Maher caught him off guard and showed how Schiff's story fell apart. Schiff stumbled, and it was clear he knew it. And it gets worse.
I get asked about it because, our investigation for the last 2 years was the only investigation into what Russia did.
Right.
And people ask me about it. But what I urge the candidates and what I urge our nominees to talk about is, how are you going to help American people put bread on the table? How are you going to help them provide for a secure retirement in an environment which people don't stay in the same job their whole life, in a job with globalization and automation? How do people get health care? How do they keep health care when they go from job to job? How do we help young people afford college? Those are the things we need to be talking about.
No wonder Trump calls him Shifty Schiff. He's great at changing the subject. Maher asked a simple question. What are Democrats doing to help everyday people? But Schiff didn't give an answer. Instead, he asked more questions, like he didn't have a plan. That's like going to a job interview and telling the boss to ask someone else why you should get hired. Schiff didn't name any real solutions, just talked about Trump and avoided the question. That's how many Democrats act, quick to complain but slow to offer answers. Maher's question showed Schiff's message was empty, and Schiff knew it.
We are in the midst of two revolutions right now, either one of which would be phenomenally disruptive. The two put together are just producing this cataclysm of xenophobic populism around the world, and it's the revolution in the global economy through globalization and automation when millions are losing their jobs through no fault of their own. And it's the revolution in communication, which is every bit as significant as the invention of the printing press, but it happened overnight, where lies travel faster than truths, where hate goes viral, and you put those two things together and it is a combustible mix.
If you understood what Adam Schiff said, Please tell me in the comments. I've listened 3 times and still don't get it. Bill Maher asked a simple question about the Democrats' plan to help regular people. But Schiff gave a long, confusing answer that didn't say anything. He used big words and vague ideas, but didn't give a real answer. Maher wanted real answers, but Schiff just talked to fill time with empty words. School, school, school. I agree with Trump on this. I never liked real estate agents with their cheesy sales tricks, but politicians are worse. At least realtors try to sell you something. Politicians like Adam Schiff sell nothing and just complain. Schiff spends all his time attacking others, especially Trump, but offers no real solutions. He just talks to stay on TV and avoids real answers. When the cameras are off, he disappears, along with his promises. That's why we need people like Trump to keep them honest. In another interview, Maher asked Schiff a tough question. Listen to his answer.
What was it like walking into the Oval Office this evening?
Oh, what a great feeling. One of the better feelings I've ever had.
Do you like this town better now than in 2017?
Well, we're very experienced now. You would say nobody's ever had experience like I have. I've dealt with some very good people. I've dealt with some very bad people, and I know who the bad ones are and the good ones are. You know, don't forget, I was very successful in primarily the real estate business. And people used to say, who's worse, a politician or a vicious real estate developer? And I'd always say, you know, the real estate developer is far worse. But after about 3 months and getting to know scum like Adam Schiff and other people like that, I said, no, actually, real estate people are quite nice.
To be fair, this was back when Bill Maher was still caught up in the progressive bubble, so some confusion is understandable. But the question was simple. Is there any real proof that Trump worked with Russia? A yes or no would have been enough. Instead, Schiff did his usual routine, dodging, deflecting, and spinning like he was putting on a circus act. Why all the tricks? Because there was never any real evidence of Trump colluding with Russia. Zero. Just wishful thinking dressed up as fact. Still, networks like MSNBC kept pushing the story, treating every little thing Trump did like a secret. Message from Moscow. Meanwhile, Schiff played the serious investigator but never gave any real proof. It was all just political theater. Lots of drama, no facts. That's why Bill Maher turned against the woke left and wants nothing to do with them.
So, you know, I sometimes watch the other channels to see what they're saying because we do live in 2 different universes. And when I see MSNBC or CNN, it's a lot about what you're saying. On Fox News, the talking point is always, let's just wrap this up. Because after all this time, there's no there there. What do you say to the no there people? Is there a there?
If there was no there, James Comey would still have a job. And you know, I think, you know, what I think is so important to get across about this, because at the root of this is why should people care about this? And as important as the collusion issue is, there's a lot at stake here, even beyond that. And what people need to recognize, the Russians intervened not just because they wanted to help Donald Trump and not just because they hated Hillary Clinton.
You want to know why I have a bug up my ass about the left more than I used to? It's shit like this. There's an ugliness they never used to have. The liberals I grew up respecting, none of them are like this.
I don't agree with liberal politics, but even I've noticed something. The liberals have changed, and not for the better. 10 years ago, liberal leaders, whether you agreed with them or not, at least had clear ideas. They pushed for things like criminal justice reform, environmental protection, and healthcare. People like Barack Obama or Joe Lieberman could explain their views clearly and had a real plan for the country. But today, it's different. Now, it's mostly emotional outbursts pretending to be debates, shouting matches on Twitter, fake outrage with no real meaning. The arguments aren't based on facts or logic anymore. They're driven by feelings, victimhood, and anger. They preach tolerance but cancel anyone who disagrees. They claim to support democracy but silence opposing views. It's not a movement anymore. It's a mess dressed up as moral superiority. The modern left has traded reason for rage and real solutions for catchy sound bites. People like Adam Schiff show this clearly, dodging questions, spreading baseless stories, and offering nothing useful for everyday people. Once, liberals took pride in being smart and pushing progress. Now, they focus on showing off their virtue and attacking anyone who disagrees. Bill Maher calling out Schiff's empty talk wasn't just a viral moment. It showed how lost this political movement really is. If this is what leadership looks like, it's no surprise people are tuning out and waking up. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to like and share it with others who want to push back against this madness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.